Who was that masked man? You mean you don't know? That was no masked man. That was the commish. Saturdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on the Fishbowl Radio Network. Loved by many, hated by few, respected by all, second to none. The best radio show from Como to the Congo. Yeah, I think I can deal with both of these, but I'll just slide that one over to the side and just deal with one mic. I have two mics because, as you know, this radio show is international, from the East Coast to the West Coast, from Como to the Congo, from Kenya, to Kansas City as well. So they're in every stop in between. Today I'm going to be having an abbreviated version of this show because I will be talking to some folks at Mothers of Fallen Angels. They're having a banquet today, so I'll be stopping by there on my way to parts unknown, if you will. But one of the parts that has been known is what's going on right now in these United States of America. Well, and the reason why we call it the United States is because, it is a noble concept indeed, but it is not reality, because we do happen to have a situation in this country in which it is red state and blue state, and it is, conservative and liberal, and it is us against them. Us against them is not what we are about on this radio show. It's about having not only straight talk, but straight truth. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes today to talk to you about what's going on in Tennessee. Yep, Tennessee, the Tennessee 3. You probably saw it in the newspaper and also on social media and also all over the internet in regards to the two gentlemen that were expelled from the Tennessee state legislature. Now, what happened with that was they had a protest in which they determined that they were going to, they were going to protest the gun, or shall I say the lack of gun legislation in the state of Tennessee, because they just recently had a mass shooting. Now, that is just part of the story, and that's the reason why you come here to this radio show, this podcast, the CNN, the real CNN, because we are in your hood. I'm going to go ahead and give you the lowdown, straight talk about what's going on in Tennessee. In Tennessee, the most obvious way it looks, the way the press has been putting it, and the most obvious way it is that you have two black men who were expelled from the Tennessee. Well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. It may happen in Texas at one point, indeed, because we seem to be copycats here in America. One state does something, the other state does the same thing. We've seen that already when they're talking about taking black history out of the books in Florida. Then they decide they want to do it in Texas. But let's go back to the story at hand. Let me introduce the topic and let me drop it. The topic, Tennessee 3, or should I say the Tennessee 2. Now, the individuals that were expelled were Justin Jones, Representative Justin Jones, and Representative Justin Pearson of Tennessee. Justin Jones is from Nashville, Tennessee, and Justin Pearson is from Memphis, Tennessee. And these two individuals they were protesting, as I said, along with another individual. I'm trying to look at my notes and find her name right now. It escapes me right now. And the reason why it escapes me is because, well, she wasn't expelled. So I really don't want to talk about it. And the reason why I don't want to talk about it is because it's a black thing. And I think you do understand, because Justin Pearson and Justin Jones were expelled because they were black. They were black. It's more than the gun legislation that they want to enact in Tennessee. It's more than protesting the lack of gun legislation that exists in Tennessee. It is clearly a hit on these two young brothers. Now, I went from saying men to brothers because I want to talk straight to the brothers, okay? Now, this is exactly what this is about. This is exactly what this is about. When you have young people, and Justin, they're both in their 20s. They're not even 30 years old. They are doing something that we are always trying to get young people to do. Run for office. Be involved in the process. And exercise your freedom of speech to get things done. And in regards to this, they did exactly that. They did exactly that. So they did a protest in the Tennessee State House, and people lost their mind. Yeah, they lost their mind because they said you took away the decorum of the Tennessee State Legislature. Now, keep in mind, years back, they had a guy named Davey who used to walk around the same quarters of the Tennessee State Legislature with a coonskin cap on. You don't think that's disruptive? Well, that's a long time ago. Let me bring it back to right now. Right now, what ends up happening, Justin Pearson, they got on him because the first day he showed up to take the oath of office, he had a dashiki on. So they said, no, you can't have a dashiki on. They got on him about that. You had some people in the House who said he don't need to be there because he's having a dashiki. Keep in mind, he hadn't protested anything yet. He hadn't made a speech yet. But yet they're saying he can't have a dashiki? Come on now. Now, if we're talking about something that's about ethnicity, if he wants to wear dashiki because he's proud he's black and it's a black thing and they don't understand, come on now, folks. Now, this has been a hit. All this time, this has been a hit. This has been a hit all the way. Now, let me go ahead and tell you about Mr. Pearson, Representative Pearson. And I'm going to continue to call him that. Just because they took away the title, that don't mean the people took away the title. Because he was duly elected by the people. By the people. Only the people can take him out of office. They did a vote to kick him out of office. They did a vote to kick him out of office. They did a vote to kick Jones out of office, Justin Jones out of office. And they did another vote for Gloria Jones, I believe that's her name. And in regards to her, they kept her. They kept her by one vote, trying to make it look good, like it was really close. It really wasn't close at all. But they kept her by one vote, and they kicked Jones and Pearson out. And when they asked the representative, they said, well, why did you stay? She says, clearly obvious why I stayed. I stayed because I was a white woman. She's 60 years old, and Jones and Pearson are are in their 20s. So we have that going on, and this has been a pattern that's existed throughout America. It's existed throughout America. This isn't the first time that it's happened. It's happened before. Now I'm going to go back in history and let you know these things as they occur. It happened in the 1960s, way back in the 1960s, when they had Julian Bond, who was in Georgia. He was protesting the Vietnam War. He won his seat. And guess what they did? You know who they are. The Georgia State House, said, we're not going to seat you. They're not going to seat you. He won, and the people decided that he would be there, but they said, no, we don't want you. He eventually got seated, but this is what's happening again. When young people decide to exercise their rights, and some people don't like the exercise of rights, they begin to exorcism them out of, well, the State House. Now, this is also happens to old heads like myself, okay? I'll go back again, 1960s again. Adam Clayton Powell Jr. used to be the pastor of Abyssinian Baptist Church in Harlem, one of the most powerful black men in America at that time. At that time, he was also an individual who spoke loudly. He also spoke about black economic rights. He also spoke about civil rights. He also spoke against the Vietnam War. He also spoke about black power. And guess what they did? You know who they are. This is on a higher level. This is the United States Congress. They kicked him out. Again, kicked him out. So what happened with the Tennessee 3? Let's cut it to 2, because only 2 actually got kicked out. Well, what ends up happening, they kicked him out, and, you know, he had to go back and win his seat back. But that's what ends up happening. This is always the case. This is happening in America. You know, when we talk to some folks and they say that, hey, there's no need in me voting because, well, they are going to do what they want to do anyway. This is what they do. They have always done that. They appear to always want to do it. Representative Justin Jones. Justin Jones that's the young man who has the straight hair. And what he had did as well was that he had protested Confederate statues. And when he protested Confederate statues, they got mad at that. So this was before he got elected. He was banned from being at the state capitol. But guess what he did? He actually got elected, and you can't ban somebody once they are elected. And when we come back, we'll talk about some local items that happen and people who are banned here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Stay tuned. All right, Angelo?
Hi, I'm Ed Bridges, CEO, founder of Wrong Way Driver Alert. And one thing that we know, when you need to go the right way, we always turn to Commish Radio. He never leads you in the wrong direction. So here at Highway Nation, we want to thank Mr. Ed Gray for taking us in the right direction. And visit us on Facebook, Highway Nation page, and give us a like.
This is Sheldon Smith, president of the National Black Police Association Dallas chapter, with my good friend Ed Gray on Commish Radio every Saturday. Tune in.
know you're a special type. Hijacked my heart and conquered my mind. Got me feeling some type of way inside. I swear on God, boy, you're blowing my mind. With you, I can be myself. Never felt this comfortable with no one else. No cap, we look good together. You're my world, I'm your shade of love, Jones forever. Ooh, baby,
all right, Commish Radio Show back again, and you're listening to the sounds of Tan Jones. Wait a minute, hold on, Tan Gray. What am I tripping out of? I'm thinking, I don't even know. Oh man, this is family, and I'm getting all mixed up. And the reason why I'm getting mixed up because I'm fired up, and I'm fired up because of the deal that's happening in Tennessee, and I want to bring it local again. Just want to go ahead and Tan Gray, thank you for Cuz, thank you for putting that in. And hey, I'm very fired up about what's going on in Tennessee, just like I was fired up what happened in McKinney, Texas. I think we have our caller in. Caller, you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? I
can hear you, and I think America can hear you too. And once we get live again on Facebook, which we never left, you've been on the radio podcast before, and tell them who you are, and I will chime in because I'm going to give you the floor because, you know, they took it away from you in McKinney, but you always have a floor right here on the Commish Radio Show. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is LaShadion Shemwell, former council member, McKinney, Texas, and I'm just blessed and honored to be on the show today. How you doing there, Commissioner?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay, man. I'm mentioning, I gave everybody a history lesson. I mentioned Adam Clayton Powell and mentioned Julian Bond, how they were removed from office because they shook up the apple cart, and you did the same thing up in McKinney. Could you tell them, our audience who should have been listening then, because I try to get them fired up about that then, but you know, I guess you should have got a bullhorn or something like that and fired some people up. But I think all of our people are now fired up and ready to go now. Tell them what happened.
Oh man, you know, it's just a modern day buck breaking is what I see going on and what I seen going on with myself. Back in, I want to say 2020, 2019, I issued a proclamation called the Black State of Emergency. And I issued that proclamation after the death of Botham Jean and Tatiana Jefferson. It just seemed like week after week after week, innocent black people were being murdered in their homes. And so I issued this Black State of Emergency, that if the state of Texas will not protect its citizens, then don't come to Texas. Don't visit Texas. Don't spend your dollars in Texas. We want to put out a level 4 travel advisory for black folks traveling to or through Texas. And when I issued that proclamation, you got to understand this was 6 months before George Floyd, and they told me that I was rocking the boat. They told me I was insane. They told me that an uprising would not take place. And sure enough, 6 months later, the death of George Floyd sparked an uprising the summer of 2020 like this country has never seen. But the damage was done. They had taken my seat from me, removed me from my seat as the second ever elected African-American council member and the youngest council member to ever be elected to McKinney. And I was screaming at the top of my lungs, like, if you allow them to do this to me, they will come for you next. And I couldn't get anybody, no national outrage, nobody other than yourself and one other local radio station that even heard my story. And I was reaching out to the NCAA, the NAACP. Here I am thinking about basketball and this girl Angel who was just killing it right now. But I was reaching out to everybody to let them know what was going on, because if they can do it to me, they will do it to you. And again, this is a modern day buck breaking. What they're saying is, if you don't play by our rules, we'll let you get elected. We'll let you go out and run for office and let the people vote for you. But if you don't follow and behave the way we want you to behave, we will take that right away from you. We will strip that from you, regardless of what the rules say, we will rewrite the rules and remove you from your seat. And I see the same thing happening here with the 2 representatives in Tennessee. And at this point, nothing surprises me about this country and their racist antics and tactics.
Now, how old were you when you were elected?
I was 30 years old, I believe.
30
years old when I was elected.
So everyone basically the same age. The representatives in Tennessee, Pearson and Jones, they are in their late 20s. You were 30 years old, and it seems that the white power structure can't deal with young black men who are exerting power.
I agree. I agree. I think it's a different generation of outspoken young people who will not get along to go along. There was a lot of people. My mother told me once, she said, if the sacrifice or if the benefit is greater than the sacrifice, then you do what you have to do. Because there was times where I was on the council. You got to understand, I was an activist. I am an activist. One thing the mayor told me you can't be a council member and an activist. Well, why not? An activist is just an advocate, and a council member is an advocate for the people. So I was an activist who turned council member, and they told me that I needed to pipe it down. And I struggle with how far do I push the envelope? Is it more beneficial to keep this seat and remain in a position to change laws and have a position and a voice in these rooms? Or do I give it all that I can give it, regardless of the outcome? And it was a little bit difficult trying to balance. I almost felt like they put a muzzle on me. I almost felt like becoming a council member made it harder for me because there was this line I was trying to tote, a line that I needed to walk so that I wouldn't rock the boat too much. But at the end of the day, I was going to speak for the people who elected me, and whatever comes of it, and I can hold my head high.
That's good. You did hold your head high, and you still are. Representatives Jones and Pearson are activists much like yourself. I had covered earlier with the folks that are listening that this political hit was not just a hit because they did the protests of regarding the lack of gun legislation. They had also protested, Representative Jones and Representative Pearson had also protested Confederate statues such as Nathan Bedford Forrest. That's the man who that's the person. I don't want to call him a man, but that's the person who founded the Ku Klux Klan. They were talking about removing those statues down, and they did sit-ins in the Tennessee State House. They were activists much like yourself. So it's like they would prefer really for a person not to be an activist, but they prefer to shut them down legislation-wise. And then if you're an activist and you get elected, they want to go ahead and penalize you again, just like you said. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said that I remember doing a speech down in front of the Dallas courthouse the summer of 2020 with the city of Dallas. And when I was a protester, they told me, they told me, and the opposition is they told me that protesting is not how you get change done. That's not the right way to do it.
Right.
Then they told me to go get elected if I wanted to really make change. And they challenged me to do that. And that's what I did. Ultimately, I went out, I ran a campaign, and I got elected, duly elected by the people. And when I started to try to make policy changes, they told me that wasn't the way to do it. When I wanted to write the proclamations, they told me that wasn't the way to do it. So every time we reach the challenge or we meet the challenge, they change the goalposts or they change the rules or they tell us it's still not enough. It's never going to be enough for these people because at the end of the day, they don't want to see us there.
So what do we do? What's the game plan?
We keep doing what we're doing. We keep showing up and showing out and exposing this hatred and this bigotry and this racism. All they are doing is exposing how crooked and flawed this system really is. I remember being a child and thinking that and revering these people in these positions like, oh, what an amazing feat it is to see how hard these people must have worked. And now I understand that they didn't work hard at all except to gerrymander these states and these cities and these jurisdictions, because these people are not capable. They are not qualified. They are not educated. And you can see that they are educated young people like ourselves who can come in and do the work and run circles around them, and they hate us for it. And it's like that you do for the people that you can do for. Some people will never like you for whatever, the color of your shoes, the color of your skin, the month that you were born in, how your hair is growing out, for whatever reason, and you can't change those people. Only God can change them. So we keep doing what we can. We keep pushing the envelope. We keep electing young people, and we keep putting in the face of the public how crooked they are. And it is going to backfire on Tennessee, and it is going to backfire on McKinney and any other person that stands in the way of justice for us.
Now, that's a good plan to have. We just need more people to exercise that plan, and I'm very happy to work with you. I've worked with you a couple of times before. I think the first time I met you was in Balk Springs. You probably don't remember. It was in Balk Springs because you know who they are. They were trying to remove Torticia Hill, city council woman Torticia Hill, from the Balk Springs City Council. And you
Yes,
came
sir.
down and you spoke.
Yes, sir. I love my sister Torticia. She is an amazing black woman, HBCU graduate, and she is continuously rocking. And I can't wait to see her. I know she just ran for Congress. So I can't wait to see her over there actually serving a greater population of the people. She is amazing. And, yeah, I mean, I will be in Balch Springs, Fort Worth, Houston, wherever it is that I need to be to speak up for justice and equity. And I remember meeting you there, but I'm not going to let anything happen to my people under my watch without a fight. Just know that the fight is going to come with it, and I'm not. And that's what they hate about it, is that these young brothers are fighting. They are speaking up. They are boisterous. They are not shying away. We are not going to sit around and be quiet to save a seat. What good is the seat if you don't accomplish the work that helps your people? So I would rather go in there, fight for every crumb that I can for my people, and if that means they're going to put me out, they're going to put me out knowing that I gave everything I had to give to fight for our community.
All right. Well, you heard it well from City Councilman LaShadion Shemwell. I appreciate you, brother, as always. And
So I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Commissioner. You're showing what you're doing. And all power to the people. All power to the people. I am nothing without you. I am nothing alone. I am because you are. And all power to the people.
Don't delay. All right. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you for calling in.
Peace and power.
Peace and power. All right. All right. Now, you see how I got tied up and tongue-tied. I wanted to talk to my brother because, man, it's just incredible for me to know these young men and women who are doing a lot of good things in the community. And as he had stated before, very few people reach back out. And see, this is where we're at. I'm 60 years old now, you know. I'm getting kind of up in age, and sometimes it's hard for me to walk around. I still got one good fight left in me, and that fight is today. And it's helping people like LaShadion Shemwell and Representative Justin Pearson, Representative Justin Jones, because what they're going through is essentially what I went through 40 years ago. Disrespected, and that only led to my disgust of them disrespecting me. And I somehow thought that maybe things would change. You know, it's amazing how you think things have changed because we progress on a calendar year, and one day it's not 1980, it's 2000, and then it's not 2000, it's 2020. It's not 2020, it's 2023. And maybe perhaps you somehow get caught up because you see things that are superficially that's happening. Perhaps when you grew up, there were no blacks on TV. Now you see black people on TV all the time. Perhaps there were no black astronauts, but you see black astronauts. Perhaps there were no black quarterbacks, and you see black quarterbacks. But you know, more and more as I talk about perhaps, we see things that are. We see things that shouldn't be. We see things such as the Tennessee 3, let's cut it to 2, because only 2 were expelled. And they were expelled because they were exercising what we believe in this country makes this country great. Councilman Shemwell spoke about he grew up thinking that these people who sat on these boards and these city councils were all of that. Yes, I too grew up thinking that. I grew up thinking that presidents of the United States wouldn't be embarrassments such as the ones that we had before, such as, I'm not going to mention his name. He was a defendant in a New York court case this week, so you know who it is. But I somehow thought that one day, if we had a black president, that everybody could realize that together, we're all in this together. But no, it didn't quite work out that way. It seemed like America rebelled because we had a black man living in a white house. And we seem to have lost our collective minds. It seems like we're no longer these United States, but we happen to be states that are separated. One lives upstairs, the other lives downstairs. A people, one live upstairs, and unfortunately, I'm living downstairs. And that's what happened in Tennessee this past week. The people who live upstairs, well, they clowned us because we on the bottom floor. But we have to keep doing more. That's why you're listening to the Commish Radio Show, because you want to know what to do. You want to get that information. See, it happened in Tennessee. It's already happened in McKinney, Texas. It could very well happen again in any of these United States. And that's what's sorrowful about this, because we appear to be in this together. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, he said, I'm afraid that I integrated into a burning building, a burning house. America's burning, and we need to put the fire out. So thank you for listening to the Commish Radio Show, and we'll see you back next week. Thank you.